All right. Well, welcome back to the table. I'm here as always with Mike. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing good today, a little better than yesterday.
Yeah,
Yesterday was a little hectic, so, today was a little quieter.
I get that. I get that. Yeah, it's a really nice day today.
Yes, it is.
70
Uh,
degrees, a little breezy,
yep,
sun is out.
mhm, yep.
Uh Makes you
Luckily, I got a
nervous about the snowstorm tomorrow.
I luckily I got a window office, I at least get to see it.
Well, you felt it when you drove over
I
here.
did, yes, I had the windows open. Like, "Okay, this is what it feels like. Okay, I'm going inside."
Yeah, yeah, it is unfortunate to be locked up in an office all day when, the weather starts to turn like it
Yeah,
does today, s
definitely easier to be inside in the office in January than it is in,
yeah,
June, July, August.
yeah, yeah, that is often the case,
Yeah.
but not the case for me,
No.
because, as of next Monday, I'm gonna be on sabbatical,
Yes. Yep,
um
that's what we're here today for. Where
that's right.
normally we discuss your messages on Sunday, which is a good message, but we're gonna set that aside for a week and, we're gonna discuss, your sabbatical. And I think there's, we can go into a little bit more in depth than what you've been able to with, Congress. You've been having some, a lot deeper discussions with session and the elders I think that this gives us opportunity
Uh-huh,
here, this medium that we have to maybe dive a little bit deeper into what you're going to do, what your outlook is, what we're going to do, or what's
mhm.
expected of us while we're back here waiting. Yes.
So true, so true. So yeah, sabbatical starts on Monday, but you know, for lack of a better term, it started a while ago, and all the planning and everything that goes into it. And so yeah, we're gonna take the opportunity to discuss practical points of sabbatical, but also some of the theology behind it and the um, the overall kind of goals and just kind of purpose behind sabbatical and how it goes.
Hmm.
I was going to start off the conversation by talking about, when you approach something like this that is definitely unknown between myself and the
Yeah.
congregation. Um, the congregation doesn't have any experience with it. I don't have any experience with it. It's been growing in Presbyterian circles for a while now. A couple of years ago, Presbytery recommended to individual sessions to come up with some sort of policy that dictates these kind of things. Um, but the way it's been told to me is outside of California, stuff like this is relatively unknown
Well, I,
until this generation. Um, and and because of that, you approach it with a lot of questions and a lot of misunderstandings. And so kind of the foundational idea behind it is there's a threefold scope. Number one, it's about resting and recalibrating,
mhm.
being able to let go of the daily responsibilities and grinds and being able to focus purely on God and what God is saying to me and trying to reinforce that particular relationship. Number two, it's about being inspired. So setting up pathways. I've done a lot of work to set up pathways to be inspired by God again
Mhm.
on my time of sabbatical. So hopefully I don't come back, just well rested. I come back with ideas. I come back with
Right.
purpose. I come back with something I'm excited to really pursue and go after. And the third one is just as important as the first two, where it's about emulating a model that is important for everybody to kind of learn from. my official title in the church is teaching elder.
Mhm.
And by going on sabbatical, there's definitely an aspect to it where I hope the church notices and says, is that what I should be doing? Is that a path that I should take?
Mhm.
And I really do, through all of my research and all of my reading to prepare for this time, have kind of come to the conclusion that it's not about the job you have.
Mhm.
Medical professionals will say that sabbatical is something that they will do. Um, College teachers and things of that nature, sabbatical isn't a foreign concept. But I'm saying everybody from McDonald's worker to college professor for spiritual reasons
Mhm.
should be accessing and thinking about sabbatical as a process or an idea. You know, we don't live in fairyland where this is possible for everybody.
Well, that was gonna be my comment. Like, that's nice, Chris. I'm glad that you think that we should all do that. I'm not sure the reception I would get from my boss if I told him I was going on sabbatical for a few months. I'll be back.
Yes, but part of the reason why that's a bridge too far is because it's something nobody asked for,
Right.
and my entire process, as I was just saying, until this generation,
Mhm.
probably would have been looked at the same had I brought something like this up
Right.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
where people are like, "You wanna go on vacation for 3 months?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah. No. But
No, that
but
is not the
but
idea, and
right.
it takes effort, it takes time, it takes that kind of coalescing thing, and, 3 months may be out of reach for a lot of people, but consider taking a sabbatical vacation
Mhm.
where you use the vacation time that you have, but you approach it not as a, "I'm going to the beach," or "I'm
Right.
doing this thing I really love to do," but instead you're approaching it with, I want to refocus on God and I want to hear what God's calling for
Mhm.
me now. So let's start wherever you want to start. What's your question for me?
Well, you did give me your kind of proposal,
Hmm.
sabbatical plan that,
Hmm.
you, I assume gave to session. I assume that's what you set me up was what your proposal
Yeah,
or kind
this
of right
was
now.
what went to session. This is what was sent for a proposal to a grant
Okay.
committee on the
Mhm.
presbytery level or on the General
Well, I
Assembly level.
let's answer that question. How did that go?
It went great
Good. All right.
eventually.
Eventually, the grant part, not the elder part, not the session part.
Session part was a breeze.
Okay.
I talked about sabbatical
I think I
a
was on
long
session when
time
you got
ago.
here and
Um,
had talked about it then.
I talked about it I think I talked about it when I first came
Right.
because, um, when I first came through all the things with COVID and stuff, I recognized a emotional weariness in
Mhm.
myself and was like, "Look, it's not gonna be today, but let's just say I'm looking towards this goal."
Well, I think COVID emotionally drained a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. It really did, and again, hence why I might recommend it for everybody. But yeah, the proposal you have is the one that was sent to all the different bodies. Um, the presbytery signed off on it.
Good,
The session signed off on it,
good.
I think, like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and, um, the only reason I think I didn't really go for it last summer was because I felt like I needed more time to plan it
Mm.
and make it more productive than it could be.
Well, and I think that,
Your boss is
um,
attempting to reach you on your cellular device.
I think that, that's my boss. Um, I think that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, just by
Mhm.
what some of the conversations we've had is, there's a lot to planning this, maybe more than initially thought.
Oh, yeah, certainly, like I said, I formally said, "Let's go for it." I think it was, like, 2.5 years ago to session, And then I talked to Barry Chance, the stated clerk for our presbytery, and I said, "Hey, this is something I want to do. How do I go about planning something like this? What is there a structure? Is there something I can look forward to?" And he handed me 3 books on planning sabbatical and said, "Read these." And I was like, "Oh." And the very first thing I read was, a lot of people approach sabbatical like it's time off, time to get away,
Mhm.
time to let go of some of the things that might be on your mind or in your heart, which is an aspect of it. But they said, if you're looking for escape, know that 3 months is a very short amount of time in the long run of
Mhm.
things. And if you're escaping, you're just going to come right back. Um,
Right.
so instead, approach it on how does this benefit me and how does this benefit the church?
Mhm.
And if you can come up with a plan that moves you both in a direction when you come back together, um, you can do some really amazing things. And that was an aspect of sabbatical I hadn't heard anything
Okay.
about up to that point. Hence, part of my planning the entire time has been a central question has been, what is the church going to do
Right.
while I'm not
Right.
here? How are they going to walk
Mhm.
down the path that is not the path I'm walking down, but is parallel to it to a
Mhm.
certain degree? And so when we do come back together, we're ready to work.
Mhm.
We're ready to do some stuff.
I think it'll be interesting, um, when you come back, and we're gonna do a podcast when you come back on the time, when
Hmm.
you're gone. Um, but I think it'll be interesting if you're able to get that. You're talking about people should be able, or should do this.
Hmm.
Regular, you know, people, me, should take a sabbatical. It'll be
And
interesting
I'm
to
saying it without having gone yet.
right,
So
right.
maybe
Well,
I'll be more convincing on the other side.
well, it'll be interesting to see how you can take the ideal of the sabbatical and what you're doing and how you're approaching it, and what happens while you're on it, and be able to translate into how can, I'm going to just say, everyday person be able to do that.
Uh-huh.
You know, um, I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of answers you have for that.
Again, I haven't done it yet, so I'm
Right.
hoping I have a better answer on the other side of
Mhm.
it, but there is an aspect of this that's just built into the normal week
Mhm.
of church and
Right.
taking a Sabbath. Um, y we are supposed to rest on
Right.
the holy day, and rest doesn't mean I'm gonna sit on my butt and watch the game
Right.
all day long.
Right.
It's about letting go of the things you normally focus on and instead focus on God,
Okay.
which is why church is so vital
Mhm.
to that process because we do well in our spiritual journeys to gather with our brothers and sisters and praise the Lord together. But more than that, um, how do we refocus? How do we re-engage? How do we reconnect and make sure that the noise of the world doesn't drown out God's
Mhm.
call in what we're doing? There is a weekly cadence to it that I
Right.
think sabbatical might reinforce for me, and I'm hoping build some real insights so that it continually happens
Mhm.
as opposed to set the alarm clock for
Right.
7 years from now when I do it again.
Right.
Like, it's
Right.
like,
Well,
okay.
well, I'm not sure what game you're watching on Sunday. I don't really rest that well. So, it's not really that restful. Uh,
Oh, come on. They say Malik Willis is only struggling in practice right now.
it I have no I have no expectations of that team this year. So that'll be really restful. I'll probably be
Yeah.
sleeping during.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna look at, when you sent this over, I was looking at your summary statement. You basically had 3, distinct, ways that things that you wanna accomplish.
Uh-huh.
First, let's take them kinda one at a time here. First, you wanna take the opportunity to investigate other churches' programming and other churches toward building community. I'm noticing building community is kind of a theme throughout. So what's your expectations from, talking to other churches? I mean, I mean, I know you haven't talked to 'em, but what are you kinda thinking of that outcome?
Well, yeah. Well, I currently have a list of 12 churches
Okay.
that have been recommended to me from different people in Presbyterian circles. Um, as what I described to them was, I want to find churches that are doing innovative things on how they build community with the modern problems that accompany that.
Okay.
You run across 9 times a day those back in my day statements, on how things used to be,
Yeah.
and let me just say those statements are so helpful
Are
because
they?
I do have the power to make things like they were in the 1950s. I'm just too lazy to make it happen so far. Like people people talk about like the church membership in the church back in the day. Most of the people who lived on Hudson Drive here would attend this church.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And now our church is made up of people all over the
Mhm.
place, like Kent, Akron,
Right,
here in the Falls have some, but we're all spread out.
right.
And with that presents problems on connection, on being able to be together for things,
Mhm.
on our availability for things. How are churches meeting those problems? How
Right.
are churches creating a sense of identity in the church when church is, on a list of 9 other programs that we're involved with, sometimes on a weekly
Mhm.
basis? If not weekly, then definitely seasonally. And these innovative approaches are all over the place. There's a church in Indiana, in Indianapolis specifically, that is approaching creating a sense of identity through cultural public art. They have taken, um, like big murals and stuff. And this is a African American church
Mhm.
that are buying sides of buildings or renting sides of buildings, having members of their community go and paint these magnificent murals on the
Mhm.
side of them, and they really find their sense of identity in those kind of things.
Huh.
And they have all sorts of art on display in their church, all sorts of things like that. And it's about finding a tone that goes throughout the church that even if you're not an artist, maybe you have an appreciation
Mm.
or a sense of identity that belongs to it. So you're going around your neighborhood, you see a huge mural, that's the work of your church community. You feel a sense of pride. You feel
Okay.
connected, even though that's not your thing.
Mm.
Now I'm looking at that and I have no thoughts that I'm gonna come back and say, "Let's start doing art."
Yeah.
Because
Oh, boy.
first of all, I would be the worst at it.
I am no Picasso.
Yeah, drawing is not my gift. But what I'm looking for is how they came up with that,
Mhm.
where they landed on it, what problems they faced when they were trying to make it more and more a part of their
Mhm.
identity and who they were. I wanna hear their story on
Okay.
how this kind of came about, and I bet I have a very strong inclination that I'm gonna hear some of our story in what is uniquely their story, and how they found something that people genuinely cared about. It's the old youth group pizza party thing.
Okay.
It's like you gotta find a hook for
Right.
people to come in on and, not to get all advertising on God's word, but it's like there is an aspect where if it's worth it to people,
Mhm.
people show up for it.
Right.
And church is worth it,
Mhm.
but sometimes we have a really hard time communicating it and putting it front and
Right.
center. So I hope to learn some things from
Okay.
that church as an example. And there are 11 other churches that are doing things nothing like that one.
Okay.
I want to hear their stories. I want to hear how they came up with these things. What books did they read? What problems did they have when they were
Mhm.
trying it? And really grow an appreciation that I would say at this point on this side of sabbatical, I feel powerless to meet the modern world's responsibilities as a pastor, where I'm
Okay.
like, how do I even you know, we have 30 to 40 youth in our church.
Mhm.
How do we get them to do something when soccer exists?
Right. Well, yeah,
It's so hard.
it's that's kind of funny because not too long ago, I was invited to go to a talk, and Jim Tressel was at this talk. So
Mhm.
it's a group of men. It was I think
Was he
all
wearing a sweater vest?
yes, he was.
No? There you
So
go.
was a guy in front of me in the queue. So I thought, okay, we're gonna dress like Jim Tressel. I did not dress like Jim. I did wear a
The
hat.
Jim Tressel lookalike contest was right after.
I did not apply. Uh, so we're there, and one of the stories that he tells about. It was very good. It was a very good talk. But one of the things that he talked about, it was towards the end, and there was a pastor that came up to him, and I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not going to be able to do this word for word, but
You better
basically,
hope Jim Tressel is not
I
listening
hope
to
he's
our
not listening to our
podcast.
podcast, at least not yet. Um, although, if you know Jim Tressel, have him come on out and start
Maybe he'll
listening.
leave a comment saying,
Yeah,
"No,
there you
that
go.
is pretty
That
much what
is
I said."
nice. All right. Basically, what you say, a pastor come up to him and say, "Hey, you're like ruining the church, or you're something along this line."
Yeah,
And he goes like, "Why?" He goes, "Because you've got all this stuff going on Sundays. You got soccer, you got other. I know that kids have been in hockey or whatever, but there's stuff going on
right,
Sunday.
right, right.
Sunday used to be you don't do anything on Sunday. People went to church. That was what it was. Not anymore." And basically his response was, "You have to adapt." And the church that we went to hear this talk has a Thursday night service.
Mhm.
So their response to some of what's going on is, okay, well, let's put a service on a different night. So it's being able to adapt in these times of the way the world is now. It's not the 50s, or whatever. It's not that
Right.
we're not in Mayberry where there's one church on the corner. Everybody went to the same church. Everybody went on Sunday, and that was all you did.
Exactly.
So we have to adapt. So I'll be interested to see what some of these churches are doing and how they got there. What their story is. It'll be interesting.
It's funny you say Thursday night worship because I was talking to somebody who their church does Thursday night worship, and the thing they said was a lot of churches immediately kind of gravitate. They're like, "Oh, we should do it another night of the week, maybe be more available." And they almost always do Saturday or Friday.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you're looking to not conflict with people's
That is a
calendars, those are
conflict.
terrible days.
There's a
So
terrible
they
day to
also
go.
that church also did Thursdays
Mhm,
because they were like, typically, that's a night that
mhm.
people tend to not have plans,
Right,
tend to not be going on, out for the weekend,
right, right. If they're
so
leaving,
on
they're
and
leaving
so forth.
Friday, or they're. So yeah, so I'll be interested to hear that.
Yeah.
Now, second thing on your list was to spend time practicing spiritual disciplines of renewal.
Yeah. This one is so 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I did a continuing education on Christian meditation, and, the course itself was pretty cursory. It touched a lot of areas, but it didn't go super deep into any of them. And one thing that I really got out of it was being able to take the time to just practice a meditation like stance in a prayerful way
Mhm.
to be able to kind of let those things roll over you. The problem with it is I'm always busy and I never have time to really delve into that.
Right.
It's like the prospect of sitting in a quiet place and focusing on what your thoughts are and trying to find God's voice in yourself. The difference between ooh, I have 10 minutes. Let me
Yeah.
see what I can do.
Right. Okay, mine
And
shut off.
and I plan on doing this for an hour. Maybe I'll go longer.
Right.
Those are two very different things.
Right.
And because of that, I'm really kind of excited to have the free time to kind of
Mhm.
just wander in it. I have some books on giants and Christian meditation, particularly monks and the
Okay.
Trappist and monastic and Benedictine traditions, and really kind of trying to learn through their writings, but also like immediately put into practice,
Mhm.
not like say,
Oh, I'll read it.
just sit here for 4 hours and look at the book like, okay,
Right.
I've never had 4 hours to do nothing in my life.
Sounds pretty darn serious there, with the books that you're looking at. I'm not sure I'd stay awake reading them all. I I would be in meditation, all right.
Well, and even the way they talk about things, like I have the opportunity to start my sabbatical on Monday. I'm going to a lake house
Right.
and I'm going by myself. And
Mhm.
this lake house, I've been warned 9 times from Sunday, has no cell signal.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
You've been there,
I've
Steve
been there.
Amos's
It has no
place.
s
It has
it's
no
the
cell.
you yes.
And one of the major practices they talk about with Christian meditation is imagine that your thoughts are a river and you see them and then you acknowledge them as they float by. A lot of people stumble because if they try something like meditation, they'll sit down and all of a sudden your grocery list pops
Oh,
in your
yeah.
head, or
Absolutely.
other responsibilities, or you have some wild thought about like what happened to my blue unicorn toy that I had when I was 11? And you're like, where did that thought come from? And they're like, they always say in those writings, don't try to be like, no, don't do that. Think about God.
Mhm.
They always say, look at it, ask yourself, why am I thinking about that? But generally speaking, you're watching it go by. You're not trying to control the line of thought in your head. And I'm like, how cool would it be if I'm sitting by a lake
Watching it
watching it
go
go
by.
by?
Now you know there's gonna be a blue unicorn toy on you.
How
On
definitely,
the
definitely. That'll be the first thing I think about,
Right.
and that'll be everything that anyone who listens to this dreams about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
What?
whole bunch of them on your, lectern there.
Just don't let them surround you and you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I understand exactly what you're talking about thoughts. I mean, I have issues when I go to bed at night, just getting my mind to stop thinking about, okay, what happened today? What I got to take care of tomorrow? Okay, can you just stop for a minute?
Mhm.
Just let me rest. And you do. I mean, when you try to sit down. I mean, even when I try to read or try to study, the Bible or a book that I'm reading, it's things are always they're just popping in, and it's like, "I don't want you here right now." It's like, "Can you go away?" So, yeah, to have that discipline to be able to do that, and
Helpful and practical ways to allow for that.
right.
Um, it's not it happens to you and you're like, "Man, I'm terrible at this."
Uh,
It's like, "No, this
this
is
is
the experience for
this
everyone."
right, this is normal,
Yeah.
but I like that idea of just, "Okay, they're there, just let it keep going by."
What else do I
So,
have to
yeah.
think about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, and Steve, he'll I think cell service is somewhere in the middle of the lake somewhere. So, yeah, well, I ain't gonna have cell service, man. I'm not going out there. But, yeah, it's a very nice, very quiet place. So, it's
Yeah.
got, like, a 1950s refrigerator there or something like that, so
Mhm.
it's really kinda cool.
Mhm.
So hopefully, you get to start now you're starting off there? Is that what
I'm
you're saying?
starting off there. Day 1, I'm going there and I'm gonna be by myself
Okay.
for at least 5 days and no cell service, no internet,
Alright.
and,
I don't think
the
there's a
idea is
smoker out there,
quiet.
so you're gonna have to, like
Well, there's a pit and a
Okay,
whole
okay.
a whole garbage can full of charcoal,
Okay,
so
there you go. Alright. Okay, so
that's good
you'll
enough.
be able to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the third item on here is, focus on building communication and healing between yourself and your family.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because, first of all, let me just plainly state that I don't feel like there's anything wrong
Okay.
between me and my family. But that being said, Jessica twice, um, well, 3 times technically, has left a job and followed me to a
Mhm.
different part of the country.
Right.
The kids have done that with school
Mhm.
twice. Um, they they don't get to take weekend
Right.
trips. We don't go places on Friday after work and then come back Sunday night ready for Monday morning.
Right.
Um, I noticed it was a while ago now, but the kids every night, every single night, I try my absolute darndest as a parent to be home when they get home from
Mhm.
school and talk to them about their day. That's what I offer them. But Jessica comes home and things start, going around, and the kids inevitably will look at me and say, "Dad, do you have a meeting tonight?" 90% of the time I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah. And every time they go, "Oh." And on the occasion that I say, "No, I
Mhm.
don't have a meeting tonight," they're like, "Yay!" And it occurred to me once, I was like, they do sacrifice more than I think they
Mhm.
do, more than most people appreciate for my calling.
Mm.
Um, they haven't been called to ministry, I have,
Right.
but it certainly affects and touches them a lot. And so there's a whole aspect towards again, having the time to be able to have strong conversation with them about what does that feel like?
Mhm.
Do you feel like you share me with the church? Do you
Right.
feel like my attention isn't on you all the time? I bought these family therapy workbooks that come with all sorts of questionnaires and little activities that you and your family can do. And the purpose of them is to bring out the thoughts and feelings that you have. And so my overall goal with this is to give them the opportunity to say, "Hey, it hurts my feelings sometimes
Okay.
when you're not there," if that's what they feel, or to say whatever it is that they do feel,
Mhm.
and then meet those things and say, "Well, going forward, how can I express to you that you are my priority?
Mhm.
You are the most important thing to me,
Mm.
even though I'm gone a lot."
Right.
Um, what comes of it, I don't really know, because
Mhm.
like I said, I don't suspect, I don't envision a, tearful session of, "I can't believe you did that," kinda moments, but I do hope that the effort itself tells them about how seriously I take my
Mhm.
relationships with them, and, maybe give them the ability to interpret the things I do, like being home when they come
Mhm.
home from school,
Right.
as to interpret them for what they really are, which
Mhm.
is a priority.
Yeah. Well, I think that'd be interesting to again, not on the same level, but I think that, members of the congregation can kind of get stuck in a cycle where you're on a committee, you're on session, you're on deacons, you're part of this group, you're part of, this committee or whatever. And I mean, I know myself, there's weeks where I'm at church on well, actually this week will be one of those weeks because I'll be here tomorrow. Well, I'm here today. Wait a minute, I was here yesterday. I'll be here tomorrow. Saturday I'll be, where you go through
Right.
and you just kind of get caught in that, wow, I'm there a lot kind of thing. And, um, it's just how, sometimes how it happens for us. It's your job that, you're doing. And, sometimes you don't have, really a choice. You've got to be where you got to be. Where, we might have more of a choice, but you get caught in that cycle where you're here.
Right.
And, you know, if you're here, then you're not somewhere else.
Right, and it's specifically the times, we have a congregation full of people who have jobs
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
work and do things, and
Right.
so if I'm gonna meet with them when they're available,
Right.
it just happens to be at the time when my kids are home
Right.
and available, and y it's definitely something that I've spent a lot of my career making sure that I'm weighing it
Mhm.
correctly,
Right.
But again, giving them the opportunity to speak, giving them the opportunity to reflect on what it means to them. I think again, I don't suspect or think there's a current problem,
Right.
but I do think it really builds that communication. So if there were to be one, if something happens that is particularly hurtful, or they would see this as building a path so that they could tell me about
Right.
it when it happens,
Right.
rather than tell me about it when I'm 70 and their
Yes, it's
therapist tells
right.
them they should.
They should. Right. Well, I'll issue a formal apology to Jessica, James, and Lillian right now that I am taking your time because I am at work and this is when I can do this. So I apologize.
Well, it's okay. Jessica listens to us when
Oh, good,
she's
good.
going on the car
Oh, well,
rides, so
good. Then she'll hear my apology.
there you
So,
go. There you go.
all right. I was one of the other things, you talk a lot about building community, but also in here, you talk about serving members of our faith communities that have dementia or memory related
Mhm.
issues. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, that that is kind of I don't know if it's a goal, but kind of a path that you're looking at during the sabbatical.
Part of the thing that makes, saying a goal is community building so ethereal
Right.
is the fact that what does community mean?
Right.
There are communities all over the
Right.
place of people who are bonded together
Mhm.
over different issues.
Right.
The community I'm looking for is a community bonded by God. And so the individual needs and interests of the people in that group are going to be all over the place. One area that particularly to me that stands out is the part of the faith community with dementia and memory loss, because it asks a very difficult question for us as believers to meet their needs when they don't know how to respond.
Right.
They've forgotten things that are essential to the human experience, to the Christian experience. And it's very off putting, very distracting for a Christian community to be able to communicate with that particular group. So it holds an interest for me, but I think it also represents how unique the different people and different groups within the community. Um, and I'm on an audio only podcast, and I just did air
He just
quotes.
did air
Yeah.
he did just do air quotes, so just
May the record show that I said community with
let it
air
be
quotes.
written, let it be,
Um,
whatever that is.
it's made up of a lot of different groups. The community that I envision has youth, has parents, has retirees,
Mhm.
has professionals, has people who've just been told really bad news about someone they're caring for, has people who've been just told bad news about themselves. Those are all very different groups. And being knowledgeable about some of the problems and challenges of meeting those groups with faith
Mhm.
is kind of essential to that community building's essence.
Yeah.
Dementia in particular, though, has the added quality of you're meeting people who are almost taking their first steps of faith over and over again forever. And most pastors, to be completely honest, don't know what to do with that.
Mhm.
And me
Really?
personally, running across colleagues who were my mentors when I first got into this and having conversations with them now, and they're beginning to struggle with things like this. I'm listening to them, and in the back of my head, I'm like, when I was in seminary, you would have ridiculed me for what you just said. Wow.
Yeah.
That how do I approach this? What do
Mhm.
I do with it? So I do have a few books on this subject in particular because I'm uniquely interested in how do I approach memory loss
Mhm.
issues in the faith community, because you could you could say physically their spirituality has been taken from them.
Mhm.
Um, And I don't think I've spent my whole life in church, and I don't think I've ever heard of someone giving a real response to that.
Mhm,
It's like a thing that we just almost have all collectively chosen to ignore that it exists,
mhm.
even though it
I
distresses us quite strongly.
yeah, I probably would say not ignore, but just don't know what to do with. I
We
mean,
don't
it's
have
not
an obvious
right.
solution,
There's not a solution in front of us, and that's sometimes that's the people we are. Is okay. Here's your problem. Well, here's what we do. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond. You don't. So taking a look at that and trying to come up or at least study. You know what can be done. What can what
Mhm.
because it's not going away.
No.
It's not gonna be something that I think it just becomes more and more evidence, and I think, recognized more, that these dementia problems are here. And, how do we, you know, through that frustration, how do we respond? How are we able to help?
100%, 100%, giving us appropriate tools to not only meet those issues, but to be able to talk about it as a community, and maybe you don't feel so outside when it's happening to you.
Mhm.
Um, that's kind of the end goal for all of these particular
Right,
issues is belonging.
right.
Belonging that supersedes where you are personally, even though it takes it into account.
Now I think that, you talked a little bit about community and the different aspects of it, and I think, you know, um, I don't wanna say the church is unique in this in that community, but, it definitely exemplifies what's going on. And you do have a bunch of different backgrounds coming together
Mhm,
in this community of faith. And that's the belief that we all share.
mhm,
And that's why we're here, but we're all coming from different paths,
mhm.
different, even in the lives that we're currently living, we're all in different places.
We're all in different places daily.
Right.
You're in a different place than you were 6 months ago
Yes,
when we were
absolutely.
recording a podcast
Yes,
that day,
absolutely.
and myself as well.
Yeah.
I hope I'm in a different place when I come back from
Yeah, I
sabbatical.
don't think we wanna grow, we wanna evolve, we don't wanna be stagnant, but it's, that's the community that we live in,
Right.
and that's, the people that we're dealing with, on a weekly basis. So you start in a cabin, you end on a beach,
Yep.
okay?
Yeah, well, the beach trip, the main goal of that is that's the main focus of the family time,
Right.
to step away, to get away, and to have that space and that ability to have that conversation in a very relaxing
Mhm.
setting. Um, yeah, we discovered a couple years ago that we love the beach,
Yeah.
each and every one of us in the family, and, um, so going there, just us, having that space and that time, that's where I plan to bust out the workbooks. That's where
Uh-oh.
I want to
Just so you know, you're gonna have homework when you
can
go to
I
the beach.
yeah. Yeah,
In case you didn't know that, you do now.
that's the price of going to the beach is worksheets.
That homework.
Also, I think we're going, like, the week before the kids go back to
Oh,
school,
okay.
so maybe they could use the worksheets as a building back old things.
Now you will be and it also says while you're down there, if I read this correctly, you're
Mhm,
gonna be interviewing, some, staff members at the First Presbyterian Church
mhm.
of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, again, I put feelers out there to a lot of places, and their church came back as a particularly innovative ministry because of what they've been doing with, counseling and pastoral care in particular. They make it a priority to specifically train their members, more so on the officer side of things, on going out and meeting with and praying with and kind of, I don't want to call it counseling because it's not as formal
Okay.
or trained as that, but it is building connections, building that community aspect through pastoral care and giving those keys to everybody, um, trying to get rid of some of the stigmas that come with visitation and
Mhm.
visiting with people. It's like how I talk about sometimes it wasn't a mistake that communion is gathering together for a meal, and
Mhm.
that's a staple of our faith. God seems to really understand us with
Mhm.
that particular move.
Right.
So is also, you go golfing with some of your friends,
Mhm.
you'll come back from that experience feeling like they care about you,
Mhm.
feeling like they're invested in you. Same aspect, only if you can train your mind to not think, "I'm a doctor walking into this hospital room so that I can help you,"
Right.
and instead you're like, "I'm your friend. I
Mhm.
would like to spend some time with you,
Okay.
and we just have a conversation, and we'll see where it goes." That is pastoral care. That is
Mhm. Yeah.
connection building. That is community, and the only thing that really stops us from that is that we have differences of feelings of where our authority is.
Mhm.
Like, "Oh, this is something that just the pastor does," and it's like, "No,
No.
we all can do that."
Right. Right. We all have the ability.
We all regularly do it
Right.
with people in our world.
Right.
That's what BB&B was
Yeah.
actually, was a experiment to make that connectional time less arduous to
Right.
get to. Um, so how do we replicate that in different groups?
Mhm.
How do we replicate that throughout the church? Uh,
Yeah.
How do we reinforce the vital lesson, you are not alone,
Mhm.
at every chance we get?
Well, I was looking, I was talking to somebody about, when you're looking at community, I almost look at it as this, how do I explain it? It's circles. And then you have, your circles get bigger. So your community at your core is your family, close friends, and each circle that goes out, your community gets larger. Not necessarily as close as that inner core, but there's BB&B or there's the band or there's so that each circle encompasses more people. More people. I just almost knocked the microphone over.
Also on an audio-only podcast, Mike is
I
gesticulating
yes,
wildly.
exactly. Well, I'm Italian, I speak with my hands. So if you cannot see me, you're in trouble. But I look, when you look at community, that's kind of how I look at it. It says those rings go out, you envelope more people in that community, but the intensity, as you get towards that core is, your community's closer. And maybe you have those conversations or, those needs or whatever that are met there that may not be met
Well, and if you think
out on
about
the
it,
rim.
the church in your analogy is spot on and perfect, but the church in that analogy is an oxymoron because it is this church gathering, a public space where anyone has the right to walk in and sit down and participate in what's going on, but we're family.
Mhm. Right.
So I'm as close to these people as I am to people who I meet at a concert I went
Mhm.
to,
Right.
and I'm as close to them as my brother and sister. Oh,
Yeah. Right.
the circle has done something geometry does
Right.
not allow.
Does not understand.
And that's the challenge of it, is really church needs to be both.
Right.
And how, when you have that close friend group, do you see it as the gift that it is? But do you take the jelly bean approach to it and
Mhm.
think, how do I open this up so that someone could join
Right.
us? Um,
And that really depends on your makeup, your character. I mean, that's really and sometimes it just happens, and next thing you know, it's like you got another set of really close friends that
right.
you can, so, it's not I think trying to force something like that doesn't always work.
Mm-mm.
It happens, and then you turn around and go, "Oh, okay.
It's
This is
about
cool."
creating opportunity, I think.
Mhm.
And you can't. assign someone, make a new best friend, and that's your homework this
Right,
week.
right, right, right. Yeah.
Here, I even found you one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just
Really?
like all reading assignments in school, we'll skip that one.
Yeah.
But then we read the book later in life and we're like, "Oh, this was really
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Why did I
Why did I skip it then?
why did I not wanna do it?" Well, it's because someone told you to, that's
Right,
why.
right.
But if you create, again, opportunities, if you create the space for things like that where they can flourish,
Mhm,
if you take some criticism and allow it as helpful criticism, constructive criticism, that maybe your friend group is a little closed off and maybe it's time you found ways to
mhm.
open it up. And you took it not as a threat, not as a
Right.
you are bad people, but you instead took it as a, you might have something there.
Mhm.
I depend on this group of people. Why should it just be
Right.
for me?
Well, it's personal growth.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's the systems that we all walk down.
Mhm.
That's the path that we all try to take. And that's what should separate the church from everywhere else.
Right.
Um, it rarely does.
I was gonna say, doesn't always work that way.
It almost never does because we're always on a pendulum between, you know, trying to be holy and righteous
Mhm.
and becoming self-righteous
Uh,
and closed off
yeah.
and, well, guards.
Right.
We were ushers and then we ended up being bouncers and it's the natural order of how we go back and forth.
Mhm.
Learn to love it, start to protect it.
Right.
And it's like, it
Mm,
doesn't need your protection.
yeah. Yeah. I think somebody's got that handle.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what the expectations of the congregation are for your dog.
Well, I started introducing some of that on May the 17th with the community questions video that was shown in worship. It was a, I think, 2.5 minute video of
Mhm.
me presenting a question with some scriptural background on ways to think about and have an ongoing conversation about building a vision for what that community looks like. Um, I think I said in my video, it's not that we don't have a desire for community. It's that oftentimes we have a "I'll know it when I see it" approach to
Right.
things.
Mm, yeah.
And instead of building something, we kind of wait to run across it.
Right.
Funnily enough, I went on a mid-career pastor retreat last year, I think it was, and I remember being there, and so it was all pastors who had served, I think it was between 13 to 25 years. So we were all in that, we're not near retirement, but we've been in the game for a
Right.
while kind of boat. Um, and the amount of pain that was in that room was overwhelming
Mhm.
because people had been hurt and people had gone down some pretty dark roads. And I remember talking to one of the counselors who was there, and I said, I haven't gone through the trauma that a lot of my colleagues have, but um, I always feel like I wanted a sense of community and have never found it. Like every community I've been a part of, the really close ones, they're kinda cliquey.
Yeah.
The really vague ones, well, they're not even friends.
Yeah.
You either really belong, but everybody else is out,
Right.
or there's always a big problem
Mhm.
with it. And so I've been looking for my whole life for this community, and I've never found it. And the counselor looks at me and he says, "Why do you think it's there for you to find and not there for you to build?"
Well,
And I remember being like, "Oh, you're putting this back on me."
right, yeah.
It was nicely their fault in my mind.
Made it a little bit easier to deal with, huh? When
Well,
somebody else's.
yeah, exactly, and so I remember coming away from that and being like, I think he's completely right. It's it's about the effort we put into it. It's
Mhm.
about the time, it's about the vision that we all kind of build. So overall, there are going to be 6 more of those questions on
Okay.
Sunday mornings. And I try to take the time in the videos to say it's not important so much as what your answer is. So we have little comment cards in the bulletin
Mhm.
in the pews
Okay.
that people can fill out and
Alright.
respond with. I'm not as interested in that as I am interested in you go out to lunch afterwards and you say, "Hey, what did you think?"
Mhm.
An ongoing conversation
Okay.
about what we want. And the idea is when I come back, I will have ideas and inspiration for things that other people have been doing, what books have
Okay.
suggested, but the church will have started dreaming about what could be.
Okay.
And so my thought is we come back together ready to start laying out exactly what community means to us.
Okay.
Like I said, community is kind of a ethereal term and it can mean a lot of different things, mean a lot of different groups. But if we really take the time to, for lack of a better term, mission statement what it
Okay.
is we want, then it puts us on a much more achievable path.
Okay.
And so that's what we're going for over the summer is the conversation. Um, when you gather with friends, when you leave church, when you're out to lunch, when you're on vacation. What did you think of that?
Okay.
What does that mean to you? How do we handle outside groups?
Mm.
How do we deal with trauma as it happens in the world around us? How do we talk about politics? Because everybody cares.
Right.
So if we try to live in this delusional place where don't talk about it,
Right.
you're basically saying, let's not talk about important things while
Right.
we're at church. Well, that sounds like an organization I want to be a part of
Right,
right away.
right.
The one that doesn't matter. Um, and so it puts us in a place where we can build a vision,
Okay.
have a thing we're going towards, as opposed to, I saw a homeless guy sitting on the side of the road. We should do something about the
Right,
homeless. And it's like,
right.
what should
Okay.
we do about the
Yes. If you
homeless?
got that answer, that'd be great.
You mean the homeless on Hudson Drive?
Right.
Because that I think we could start to
Right.
build a plan
Right.
for. And and that's what it's about. It's about focusing, it's about dreaming,
Okay.
just dreaming.
Right.
And
Well, it'd be interesting to see what kind of, responses you get to the questions. What kind of direction, we can go.
well, and you had already said, when I get back, we're gonna do an
Yes.
episode
Mhm.
on what the experience was
Right.
like and so on and so forth. But we're also there's gonna be a potluck dinner
Okay.
on the first Sunday I'm back, which is
Alright.
September the 6th. I'm gonna give a short, I, I hesitate to say presentation because presentation for me means that there's like a PowerPoint or
Yeah.
something. And that's not my goal.
We 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 get the old projector out, put little sheets on the light.
But I'm gonna talk about my experience in a different way to
Okay.
the congregation. But then I think there's also gonna be a fall Bible study
Okay.
going over some of the resources and ideas that we pulled from some of these things much more in depth. Kind of read this book, I saw this, what do you see? Kind of a conversation. And so people can kind of pick and
Mhm.
choose how they want to follow up with something like that, how you want to take what your conversation brought and share it to the general discussion.
Well, it does seem like you're gonna be doing a lot of reading.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Have you
get
should
a
see the
library
pile of
a
books on my
library full
desk
of
right
books.
now. There's 15 books on my list right now,
Wow.
and there are 12 churches, and I'm assuming a lot of those churches are gonna
Yeah.
say, "I
Oh,
read this
you
book,
should
you
read
should
this
check
book.
it out." So, yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, it does sound like, from what I've heard, in passing and stuff, so you got a lot of things. Well, you better have a lot of things already taken care of because it's coming up fast, but as far as the
I'll be out of here. So
Yes,
it's your all's problem now.
well, I'm gonna tell you something, Chris. This church has done it on its own for a long time.
That is true.
So we have that experience. So
I don't think
we
there's
just know you're
anything
coming
that'll
back.
throw you off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. So now I know it's summertime. I know I know one thing you're gonna miss, and we're gonna miss you at the iron shop.
Yeah.
But hopefully this is something that I don't think I'll miss you at the draft. I think somewhere you'll be around.
Oh, I'll make it
If
to
you
the
make it
draft.
to the fantasy
What would
football
the
draft.
fantasy football championship look like without me?
It looks like Mark right now. How's that?
I was in the
You
championship.
were in the championship.
I was
Yes.
there.
Yes, you're not gonna miss the wings and whatever Mike smokes that day.
Yeah,
So,
probably no.
well, I wish you, luck. I wish you a lot of, time, and, I'm really looking forward to our talk when you get back and see where this all leads and see what outlook you have after the sabbatical.
Yeah, I think there'll be good things, but I think there'll also be a small list of I wish I had done this
Oh,
instead.
yeah,
And I'm hopeful for it
right.
because, like I said, I don't think this is a one time experience
Mhm,
for my career. And the next time sabbatical comes around, I would like to have it be even better
mhm,
and
yeah,
more immersive and more helpful and
yeah,
all those things.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed our
I
conversation.
have.
Uh,
I'm glad that we had it. I'm glad we were able to get this one in. We have to let people know that the podcast is going on sabbatical too.
it is. It
Uh,
is. We'll be back in September.
mhm,
I think we'll be back on the second and fourth week
yeah.
schedule like we were before.
Mhm,
But yeah, we'll be out for a couple months, and you, as always, are welcome though to write in comments, to write us emails, to stop us in the hallway of the church if you're here, and give us suggestions, feedback, and
yep.
thoughts on what you would like to do. Another part that we didn't talk about was I told you, Mike, I have a couple of podcasts lined up that I'm going to
Oh,
listen to
okay.
some
Right, right. Yep,
and
yep. You
see
did
if
tell me
we
that.
get any ideas
Mhm.
for what we're doing here. Um, it's always a growing
Yeah.
experience. Always see what comes
Yep.
next.
Yep. I am going to do the same thing, and we've already talked maybe about a couple ideas and see how we can incorporate those into what we're doing. And if you keep doing air quotes and I keep talking with my hands, we might have to go to video at some
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
This is a face for radio. So just so you know that.
I don't think so. I think you're adorable. My
Well,
God.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, anyways, thank you for joining us. This was a longer episode than normal, but I think this is your last taste of it till September, so we did it for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do hope you all do well. I do hope that you continue to come to the table, that you continue to have that conversation, continue to find where God's calling you to next. But if we don't see you tomorrow or the next day, God be with you till we meet again. Peace.